Good morning, Nicholas. Really appreciate you taking time out of your morning, because it's 8 a.m., to join me here for this interview. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How about you?
Good as well. The reason I invited you on is because I saw an interesting win from you in the stocks campus. Could you explain what that was about?
Yeah, so recently in the Stocks campus, I've been doing really well. Professor and the community, they're all just fantastic over there. They're really uplifting and they actually know what they're talking about. So that's one thing that people should really know is the Stock campus, that's where it's at. But yeah, so recently, last month, I've been doing really well on a funded account challenge for Apex. And I'm on the 300K funded account. So that means once I pass an evaluation, I'll be getting funded up with the 300K capital. And it's just doing great. The last month I was around $17,500, that close to the $20,000 profit target of passing, you know, and it was doing great. I made this one mistake because the rule is an auto trailing drawdown, which means the drawdown trails to my unrealized profits, not necessarily my realized profits. So I made an over leveraged mistake, and I could have let myself get down about it, but if it wasn't for Professor Ayush and the people in the stocks campus, you know, I really got myself back up there with their help, and it was just fantastic. So I'm back on the grind now. Started up a new account last Monday, and here we are now.
Interesting. Again, before we go more into depth into that aspect, I'd like to go a bit back. So, when did you join the real world?
Yeah, so I joined the real world on launch, so November 14th of 2022. So I was, as soon as I saw Top G talk about it, I was like, I'm on. Let me get in.
Nice. And did you have any prior experience with stocks?
No, I really did not have any prior experience. I'd say October 29th of 2022 is when I wrote down in my journal, like, this is what I'm going to go all into. And, as soon as I understood that the real world had stocks, I'm like, all right, everything's lining up for me perfectly. So I'm going to get into this.
Yeah. And why did you choose stocks campus out of all the other options?
Yeah, so I've always been on the computer. I've past experience. I played a lot of video games, not anymore though. That's past, but I've always liked sitting down and being on a computer and chatting, and and the whole idea around charting and analyzing. I was part of it. Like I really liked that. And for my school background, like I wanted to go into IT and cybersecurity, so that was just more things revolving around computers. So stocks just made a lot of sense to me.
Mhm. Nice. And then you joined the real world, started going through the lessons. How different is the material, would you say, in the real world to what you've seen out on the internet?
Oh, it's just way more streamlined, super easy. Like if anyone just needs a place and a place that they can call home for stocks, the real world is the place. When I tell you, like you got a whole community of people who are out there wanting to be better, not just for stocks, but for their health. And then you also got the Professor Ayush, which is the stocks professor. He's given you all the course of material that you need step by step in a really orderly fashion. That's just fantastic. So the real world is just a great place for even not even just beginners, but also for people who want to like take on their next level. It's just a place where you can just get a whole bundle of information right then and there.
Hmm? How much time were you putting in into the real world when you first joined, and has that changed since?
Yeah, so it's been pretty consistent. So here's a bombshell. I dropped out of college to pursue the real world, and just to pursue stocks in general. I don't want to work on the 9 to 5 rat race anymore. So I'm out here. I'm probably in the real world for a good 8 hours a day, and I'm running stocks, studying and charting for about 10 hours a day. So I'm not in college anymore. So I can really invest all my time because there's what Top G always says: speed, work, efficiency. I got all this time now because I was able to get that. And, I got to use it. I can't be stacking around.
Mhm. So, what does your average day look like now compared to before you joined the real world?
Okay. So before I joined the real world, I'd say it was, pretty mundane. I was just going through the motions, and just living life. I wasn't an exceptional person, but I wasn't like a low person. I was just chilling. I wasn't doing anything too great. And I'd say as soon as I really like found, there was a pivot point in my life during college where I just realized like, like all this partying, all the college, matrix activities wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do. And, you know, the one person who was always there speaking in my ear, yelling at me, I'm a loser, was Top G himself. And I'm like, he's right, I am. You know, so through Andrew Tate's word, and I also ended up finding God during that time, I'm like, this is what I really want to do. So I just, if it wasn't for Tate, if it wasn't for me finding God, I wouldn't be here where I am now. But I'm more proud of myself than I ever have. So now my day looks like I wake up at 7 a.m. I get instantly on the charts after I get ready. I make my bed, make my room, hop on the charts, study, you know, send messages to the real world saying, good morning, G's. Everyone knows that's my slogan. Good morning, G's. Let's get it today. That's my slogan. I'll be doing charting. And I'd say I do intermittent fasting. So that's I don't eat for 16 hours and I eat for 8 hours. So as soon as it hits around 11 a.m., then I can have my first meal around lunchtime because stock says 11 to 12 central time, which is lunch hour anyway. So I don't trade that. And then I'll hop back on the charts if there's any opportunity in the afternoon. And then I'll hit the gym. And then after the gym, I pretty much have a free day to usually go around Ayush's mentorship videos or other studying opportunities that I want to pursue.
Mm-hmm. Now, what would you say to people who, one, would call that excessive, and two, why would you say it's worth putting in more hours into this than if you were just to get a regular job?
Yeah, so first I'm going to address people who call this excessive. Listen, if you're calling this type of work ethic excessive, then you just don't deserve much because anyone who is great understands that you need to put the work in and you need to be obsessed with what you're doing. You need to make sure that that's the thing you go to bed dreaming about and that's the thing you wake up excited to do. So and if you want to be great, you want to live the lifestyle with, you know, where you're financially free, location free, you know, and all those and time free, you got to put in the work. And I realized right now that it's better for me to do this now when I'm young, when I have lots of energy. I don't need sleep. I'm super young, you know, I'm not tired. I can bottle in and put in all these hours and time into studying so that I can enjoy, you know, like maybe 3 years later down the road, since I'm accelerated because I'm doing this so much right now, you know, I can achieve results faster and earlier than everyone. So while everyone is like just getting out of college in a ton of debt, doing their normal jobs, maybe not even getting a good job. You know, I know some guys who do computer science, get it, and that's a good degree, and they'll get out of college and still get like 75 grand. You know, not even they expect 100 grand, but they can't get that because it's starting to get a little bit inflated with the amount of people doing computer science. So I just realized that, you know, I'm gonna put all my time in now because it's worth it. It's worth it to do it now when I'm young, healthy. I got all this life, and yeah.
All right. Good answer with that. Would you say the community has had any impact on that mindset?
Oh, 100%. The Rewards community is fantastic. I already made some friends, international friends. You know, I made a friend from the Stocks campus that lives in the Carolina, and then I made a friend who lives in Croatia. So, and we follow each other on Instagram and we keep in touch and we like talk about things here and there. And it's just fantastic. I'd love to know that I have brothers from around the world who have the same mindset. And I already know, like, hey, I'm in Croatia, you know, you got a place for me, and or vice versa. So just having a community around of people who can understand like what you're aspiring to be and everyone has that same goals, it's just a brotherhood like no other.
Yeah. Especially since, as you're saying, it's hard to find people like that out in the actual world because in university, people are more interested in partying, like that kind of aspect of it. Whereas here, you actually have a concentrated area of people that are like minded. So, yeah. Okay. Now, going on to, did the Winch channel have any kind of impact on you?
The wins channel, yeah, I mean, it's the classic. The wins channel is unlimited motivation. So just it's like an infinite scroll bar. I swear. I don't even know how many gigabytes, terabytes that is. That is an infinite scroll bar of just people just making pure bank. So I'm just like, all right. Like I don't even need to go in there for long. I just click on it and the first thing I see, oh, a couple grand, piece of cake. I'm like, all right, time to get back on my game, you know. I remember just starting to slack off, which I try not to. Discipline is key. Discipline, motivation doesn't exist. Discipline does. So, but yeah, it's just the Wins channel is freaking fantastic. I love it.
Mhm. What would you say was your biggest mistake when you first started out in the stocks campus?
Ooh, biggest mistake when I started out. Hmm. I would just say just not getting into it early. I'm trying to think of like what I actually mistakenly did, but I'd say that like a huge pretty make the stocks professor makes everything really simple. So you can't really make a mistake along the stocks campus in learning because the education is streamlined. It's easy. You can find where to start, you know where to end. You understand like that there's levels because also the chats, you get chats as you upgrade through the campus. So like you start out with less amount of chance, and the more you upgrade, the more opportunities you have to communicate. So I would just say like one of the mistakes I made was just not necessarily getting into it early, realizing that when the real world used to be Hustlers University, and all that. So the real world is just fantastic. So and it's just yeah, it's great.
Okay. Two things to follow up there. When did you actually hear about either Hustlers University or the real world? And did you join right after hearing about it, or did it take some time?
Yeah, so back the first time Andrew Tate hit my feed, I think it was on TikTok when he had TikTok take over. I've instantly fell in love with his message because his message was something I kept inside of me, and I guess I was oppressed to wanting to like feel that way from society, which now I realize like that's no one's ever going to do that to me again. But I just found that his message was fantastic. But the thing was that I was so I guess tunnel visioned into the fact that like, okay, I'm gonna go to a good college and get a cybersecurity degree. I'm gonna have, people are gonna appreciate me. Maybe I'll open up a cybersecurity tech firm and all these things in my future. And that's how I develop my money. So I saw that I understood that these online education things, especially Hustlers University, was probably top of the line, a high end. But I was just very tunnel vision into thinking that like that's what I want to go into. And then the moment I got there, like it just wasn't it. So when I got to college, it just was not what I was expecting. It was not what I fell in love with to begin with computers. And as soon as I just saw that rebrand was just like the snap in the moment. I'm like, all right, we're going for the real world. Everything is off the matrix. It's never before seen all these things. I'm like, yeah, this is the time. I'm gonna get into it. And the price tag was phenomenal. The price tag was never the problem. It was just more that society tunnel vision me into thinking that. And you know, I'm here now. So
Why would you say they only charge $50 for all the value they provide?
yeah, I mean, for the value, $50 is just like you find a penny on the side of the street. Like this the real world is probably hands down the best community anyone can find for this price tag. It is just fantastic. Unlimited motivation from the Wins channel, unlimited work from just the people around you. So everyone's always working, everyone's on something. You'll never find someone who's not doing something in the real world, whether it be they'll be showing off their like gym gains, they'll be working on their relationship and they're talking about that in the off topic channel, and everyone's always here to support each other, and it's just fantastic. So for $50, man, if someone can't like gather $50 to drop on the real world, then I have no words for you, because if you're seriously trying to make a change in your life, this is the spot.
Okay, now moving on to what would you say have been the three biggest lessons you've learned from your time in the real world?
Three biggest lessons. Okay, let me think about this. The biggest lessons. Okay, so I'd say number one for relating to stocks, my biggest lesson would be over leveraging. Just because my prop firm allows me to trade 35 contracts does not mean I should trade 35 contracts. So I learned that over leveraging, it bit me in the end, but I learned my lesson. There's one thing that traders always understand is, you don't learn from winning, you learn from losing. So, over leveraging was probably the number one huge lesson related to stocks. I'd say the second lesson would be maintaining discipline and work ethic through times that aren't the best. And I found this really nice saying that goes along with this in relation to God would be, when times get hard, it's not God leaving you or being mad at you. It's God testing you. Are you willing and are you ready to accept the next blessing that's there to come? So I found that when times get hard and that I'm starting to like feel like that I don't want to work and don't want to keep up this discipline, I realized that like first of all, I can't let down my peers in the real world because they want me to succeed. I want them to succeed. So we're all here looking out for each other. Second of all, I can't let God down because God is waiting to see if I'm ready to accept his next blessing. So that's another thing. So I just realized that, I can't falter. I can't stop. I just have to keep on going. And for the third biggest lesson I learned would probably be to make sure to not feel overwhelmed by the pressure of other people's success. So that's one thing that when I'd see like my peers who, we're all starting from the same spot most of the time, um, it would be that I'd look at their success and I'd feel a little like pressure. I would never feel envy or jealousy. No, I'm very happy for them. I'm super proud. I'm like, keep going, you got this. I'll be there soon. But sometimes like people will tend to feel like pressure and like demotivation in a sense when they see other people winning and when other people shine bright. And I don't want anyone to understand or to see that as something to demotivate you. That should only want to make you say, okay, they're shining bright. I want to go into their light. I want to join with them. I want to be brighter together. So there's one thing that I learned that, I had to just like click that out of my mind real quick, like just to make sure that, don't get myself down just because other people are shining bright. Use that as, motivation. Use that as something to want to work harder to.
Mhm.
So that's probably my third lesson.
I like it. And now that you're on this trajectory, where do you see your life heading in 6 months to 1 year?
Yeah, so I got some checkpoints set up along the line. Like I'd say, because my original plan would be like, because I dropped out of college after the first semester of my freshman year in college. So I said like I was going to give myself second semester this summer, and then by the time technically I'd be a sophomore, first semester in college, that's when I'd see like, okay, how far have I progressed? How have I done? And I'd say right now, like if I'm like, checking back on all my progress, I'd say that I'm doing really well. I'm really proud of myself on how I'm doing. I've been staying disciplined this whole time. Haven't missed a day at the gym. Haven't broken my fast. Staying healthy, all organic, non-GMO, all these things. Like the whole line of discipline is there in my personal life, and same with my stocks life, and also keeping in touch with the guys in the real world every single morning. So I'd say I see myself, just keeping this curve because, progress and learning becomes exponential. It's not necessarily linear, it's exponential. The getting is very hard. You might have a little bit of a dip, but it's an exponential curve in the end. So, I'm just so excited to see what the future brings and what God comes to bless me. So I'm just ready.
Mhm. Good. Let me know in a few months if you have a significant win to share with us. We'll get you on for a follow up. Okay. And now I'm wondering, on a bit of a separate note, is there more you can say about what kind of an impact Tate has had on you?
That's fantastic because yes, like Tate, like I mentioned before, Tate has, I'd say he changed my life for the better, 1000%. Tate is just straight up, he is the top G, fantastic. Uh, if it was not for Tate, I would not be who I am today. He was the one who really brought out the feelings I've been feeling forever. And I can say, I know that there's probably hundreds of thousands of guys out there who have that same feeling inside of them that was just, I guess, necessarily locked up by society. They felt that they couldn't express that about them, about their true masculinity. And Tate was that person who took the key, he came to their hearts and opened it up. And now that they are who they are today. So man, as just Top G really is, he is such a big influence on me. And free Top G, he's my guy. He's gonna come out soon. I love him. All this stuff is crazy. I can't believe what's going on. But yeah, he had such a huge impact on me. Anyone who says otherwise, all these people online, that's just in the echo chamber talking, the small minority that's vocal, the small vocal minority, is not gonna win. People understand what is truth and Tate is truth.
Mhm. Right. And yeah, I won't ask for a follow up with that because I don't want this to get too political.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, great. And before we end off, what advice would you have to people who are considering joining the real watch?
Just do it, man. I'd say if you're on the edge at all, if you have 1% faith into this community, or a 0.1% faith into this community and you're really doubtful, just send it. It's $50. You spend $50 going to the bowling alley, in one night. You spend $50, on the latest Call of Duty. Well, I mean, what does it matter? You just waste money here and there anyways. I know how it was because I wasted money here and there. So there's really no other option for you into just giving it a try, you know. So just go ahead, sign up into the real world, find a campus that attracts you. They have descriptions, everything's super simple. Hop into the real world. They'll say, welcome to the real world. They'll show you all the things that you need to know, what the campus does. Find something you like, get right into it. It's pretty easy.
Great. And now, if people want to find out more about you or contact you, where can they do so?
Yeah, so you can contact me or find me on any social media with my full name, Nicolas Bedlika. Primarily I like to post things on Instagram where whether it be like workouts, stocks, or just cool content in general. I like making content. I'm a content creator at heart and things like that. So you can find me Nicolas Bedlika anywhere. Just search it up online. And I think Twitter is the only one that's best at Nick. But other than that, you hop on my Instagram. There's the link tree. You can find anything there.
Yeah, I will add it to the description of the video. So anyone interested, click that. And Nicolas, thank you for your time. Really appreciate again you waking up early morning to do this interview. And I'm excited, as I said, to see where you progress in the next few months and to get you on for a follow-up.
Appreciate you so much for having me on, and God bless.